Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the Colonial Dungeon, this is the Court Martial Podcast! Introducing your host for this evening, he has a bald spot on the top of his head, and he weighs in tonight at a number you don't need to know. He is the Colonial Loudmouth, Sean McCarty! And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to another spectacularly exhilarating edition of the Court Martial Podcast. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, once again here to discuss all things pro wrestling, good and bad, top and bottom, the in-between and the outer exterior, the warm, velvety, creamy interior, as well as the hard outer chocolate coating. And with me to do so, as always, for our final ACPW versus NWL fantasy booking extravaganza, he is the co-host of the hour, the co-host with the power, the co-host who's way too sweet to be sour. That is way too much of a jumble to say all in one hit. It's a lot easier to say it the way it was said in the 80s. But that being said, I want everyone to wish this man at the time of release today 2 days since his birthday, so wish this man a happy belated, the Bay Area Brawler, the one, the only co-host of the Court Martial Podcast, Mr. Skyler Greenberg.
Thank you for that entrance. That was amazing. Yes, it is 2 days after my birthday, and it is also the 7th day of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah, Shalom, Mazel Tov, whatever you want, and also happy holidays.
Holidays of all shapes and sizes afforded here at the Court Martial Podcast. We, in fact, are celebrating ourselves, even though the live stream may not indicate as so. But we are all celebrating here. And, of course, we're going to get to celebrate next week with a terrific wrestling pay-per-view. I couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Oh, come on. TLC is not going to be that bad. Well,
TLC...
I couldn't say that.
My hopes are so low for this show, but it's not the wrestler's fault. It's the format. It's just the way that they present everything. But TLC 2020, Skyler and I are going to review it for Christmas week, so stay tuned for that.
And also preparing to sue Vince McMahon if they attempt to try and do my finish with Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles.
Well, they very well might. It's what is it with them taking all your matches, man?
I know.
Because you are actually setting these up before they do. I would imagine so, because they're booking week to week, maybe. But in any event,
they saw my shit and they were like, "That's some good ass shit. Let's take it."
It's in any event, that's some good shit right there. In any event, let's not talk about bad pro wrestling. Let's talk about good pro wrestling, and we are going to start because this week is my main show, the WrestleMania, if you will, and this is going to be your show. Your main show was last month, but here is this month. So I'm going to let you, Sky, and the National Wrestling League, for the very last time, take it away. The floor is yours.
Why, thank you, my man. And while last month was the WrestleMania show, this one has the potential to be a good show, even if it is a bit of a sleeper. So let's all begin with Frozen Frontier and the poster for it. What do you think, my man? I
think it's actually kind of fun. Shows you what's going on. Shows you what's up.
Could you see Drew McIntyre in the lights and Kevin Owens in the dark?
That's right. And that will be a theme, now, I would imagine.
Yep. So let's move to our ranks very quickly because there's a special note I want to make. Do you see the rankings in particular? Do you see two symbols next to 4 and 5?
I do. And also everyone else will at this particular moment if I'm anywhere near the editor that I claim to be.
Right. So, as a result of his match against Drew McIntyre last month, Roman Reigns has a fractured jaw. So he is unable to compete.
Fair.
But Daniel Bryan has it even worse, because he has a whiplash neck strain.
Oh, no.
As a result of being apron powerbombed by Kevin Owens. So he is also unable to compete, and he's out for several months.
Wow.
I know, it's a difficult thing.
It is.
Anyways, Moving on from the rankings for a second, we have our NWL Frozen Frontier match card. Main event, McIntyre versus Owens for the world title. Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm in a last women's standing match for the NWL Women's Championship as the co-main event. Jon Moxley versus AJ Styles, number one contender. The New Day versus the Almighty Crew. Andrade Cien Almas versus Keith Lee for the international title. The Usos versus The Bar for the tag team championships. Adam Edge Copeland versus Seth Rollins in a street fight.
Okay.
And starting off the show is Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi.
All right. That should be something.
Any questions?
Actually, I do have a question here, and perhaps you will send me a future graphic so this will not be applicable. But I see that there's a match here on this card that you did not announce. And that is the New Day and the Almighty Crew. Is this
I didn't announce it.
You did announce it.
Oh wait, I have it. Do I have it edited twice?
Oh, you do have. You know what? You do have it in there twice. You do.
I forgot Edge and Rollins.
So Edge and Seth Rollins bumped from the card. Thanks, because we needed the New Day, thanks to their new Gears 5 deal in association with the NWL, said that I want to compete twice on the same pay-per-view, and they booked them against the exact same opponents because that's just part of Gears 5. It takes a lot to get into a video game, you know.
That Gears of War 5 sponsorship money is coming right
Batista had to wrestle a whole pay-per-view by himself. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. Gears 5, that contract. Read the fine print.
All right. And by the way, this is not a Gears of War sponsorship, but you should play the game. It is fun.
You know, I've actually never played the game.
I would say it's fun.
I'm sure it is. It's just I don't have the access. I don't have the means to it yet. But in any case, we're in the middle of fantastic wrestling action.
Well, you say that, but we have Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi.
Oh, okay. Well.
So, and Sean, I apologize for the booking I'm about to give you.
What, that Kenny wins?
So Kota Ibushi makes his entrance all serious, angry after Kenny Omega gave him a V-trigger on last month's show. So he makes his way to the ring and he stands in the ring. Kenny Omega's music hits, but he does not come out. Instead, 8 girls with brooms walk to the stage.
Oh, Christ.
And they start dancing, doing all rockettes with the brooms and kicking to the right and kicking to the left and kicking to the right and kicking to the left. 4 of them walk to each corner of the ring, and the other 4 are still on the stage, and they separate into 2 lines and hold the brooms up above their heads, just like the Druids with the flames. And out comes Kenny Omega with a golden broomstick. And he starts sweeping his way to the ring.
Oh, God.
He finally gets to the ring. He puts the broomstick away. 1, 2, 3, the bell rings. And this match is underway. Kota Ibushi immediately kicks Kenny Omega in the head. Then he grabs him. 1 V-trigger knee. 2 V-trigger knee. A 3rd V-trigger knee. He grabs him and sets him up for a Golden Star Powerbomb. He hits it. Cover 1, 2, 3.
Christ. Oh, my God. Poor Kenny. After all of that.
I did that, Sean.
After all of that.
You know why I did that, Sean?
Why?
Kenny Omega.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that segment needed was a little Justin Roberts.
I know. I should have Justin Roberts read
His
out
stupid-ass scripted introduction for Kenny Omega, and it sounds dumber and dumber every time he does it.
I know.
Oh, AEW.
Again, I was willing to give this a chance if Kenny Omega was not going to be an idiot when he went to Impact, but no.
Oh, AEW, you do it to yourselves. You make it too easy.
Yep. So Kota Ibushi wins with all that pageantry.
Nice.
Anyways,
I can work with that.
We're going to move on from all that. The girls are going to walk away with the broomsticks, and Kenny Omega's going to pick up his golden broomstick.
The amount of time it took to get all those girls up and out of there, that lasted less time than the match, and the time it took to get all of those girls out of the ring area also took longer than the match.
There's a reason for that.
That's amazing.
Thank you. So anyways, I'm back, and I'm better than ever. Have a night. Anyway.
Oh, he ran out of lyrics. He forgot the lyrics. No, go ahead.
No, I'm too busy. I got time.
Face facts, because your opinion don't matter.
Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews make their entrance to the ring. And Eric Bischoff, smiling as the smirring man he always is with a microphone.
Yes. Pearliest whites in the biz.
He talks about his boys attacking the New Day, saying, "We're here to make a statement, and that is that we are the best tag team in National Wrestling League. New Day, you were the champions, and I have respect for that. But understand that we're going to be better than you. We're going to destroy you. And after we destroy you, we're going for those titles. My boys, Bobby Lashley, Apollo Crews, they're going to run roughshod over this division. And that's a fact." And before he says another word, the New Day's music hits, and it clearly makes Eric Bischoff angry because he was not done with his promo. "Big E, oh, get ready for the ass whooping we're going to give you." The New Day do not do their full bit, and they're walking to the ring with purpose because they're angry at the blindsided attack that the Almighty Crew gave them. And this match is underway. Kofi and Big E are game face on, and they're taking it to Apollo Crews, who is the legal man. And they're separating him from Bobby Lashley, and this goes on for several minutes. Kofi Kingston working on Apollo Crews with his high-flying offense, tagging into Big E, who uses his power moves. Apollo Crews, after finally taking another punch from Kofi, rolls out of the ring. Kofi goes off the rope, goes to springboard onto Apollo Crews, but Bobby Lashley steps into the middle, and Kofi can't make the attack. Big E tackles Bobby Lashley off the ring apron. Now Kofi goes for the springboard. He goes off the ropes, goes for the springboard, but Apollo Crews uses the ropes and hits him in the face, and then trips him. And Kofi, after being tripped, grabs his knee, his right knee, and now things are looking bad. Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley working on Kofi Kingston's right knee, and they're doing everything they can to ground the high flyer. Finally, after several minutes, Kofi makes the hot tag and tags in Big E. Big E is a house of fire, taking down Apollo Crews. Clothesline, another clothesline. He shoots off and hits Lashley off the ring apron. He goes for another clothesline on Apollo Crews. He puts him into the corner. Punch, 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 punch. The crowd chants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Finally, Big E picks up Apollo Crews for the big ending. Kofi gets to the top rope. They go for midnight hour. They hit it. But Bobby Lashley runs in and hits a big boot on Big E. And then he starts brawling with Kofi. Big E and Apollo Crews start fighting each other. The referee is losing control. Finally, he starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Both of these teams refuse to stop fighting, and he calls for the bell. It is ruled a no contest. But these men are brawling all around the ring. Referees and producers immediately start spilling from the back, trying to separate these two teams. Finally, they are separated after several minutes, but this is not over.
Sir, you took one of my finishes. Like word for word. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but when you get to it, you're going to recognize it.
We should have compared notes before the show.
And you know what's messed up? Is that you have a last woman standing, and I also have a last man standing. I think I might need to call the law offices of a certain Kentucky law office that I'm not going to promote because he doesn't promote the show. But you can. If you want to promote the show at any time, you want your product sponsored, you want to sponsor us here at the Court Martial Podcast, it's very easy to do. Just contact us. It's really just please, somebody, anybody, want yourself sponsored, we will give you the shout out. You just need to hit us. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to pile drive that bell button while you're doing it. Hit us up, we will work with you, and we will get your product in this spot right here. Anyway.
Okay, I want to say something right now. That it's a last woman standing match, not a last man standing match.
I did correct myself.
So it's not exactly the same, so you can't sue me for that.
No, but I might see you on this fit. I mean, never mind. You know what? The one I've got, it's not even that big a deal in the context of the whole show. But definitely not over between these two. And honestly, I'm more of the mind of great minds think alike, because it is a valuable finish to have when you don't want either team to drop a loss or a win, because it's hard to do sometimes. You don't want, in a who goes over situation, sometimes it's better to have nobody go over.
Because the idea is that I want to extend this feud.
Yes, so I get it.
Anyways, because what I'm going to do, I should book a 30-minute match of a first-time meeting between tag teams, and then have one tag team never see the other one again for 2 months, right?
Hey, you got to remember that you got to kick out of everything ever conceived that could be done in a pro wrestling gymnastics context first, before you do that.
Oh, right. I will remember that.
Yes, you got to kick out of everything. You got to not sell anything. I mean, punch, don't sell. Backdrop, don't sell. A power bomb through a table, then a pile driver through a chair, through a DDT into the blood of a goat. Get right back up. No time to sell.
Right, but you want to know who doesn't do gymnastics?
The Bar.
And they make their entrance for their NWL Tag Team Championship match against the new champions, the Usos, who won the title last month.
Yes.
And the Bar, they are ready to go. The Usos make their entrance with the beautiful championships around their waist, which sadly I can't show you because I don't have championships made.
It's because they're still being made.
If you want to make custom championships for NWL at ACPW, I'm open to hearing.
That's right, and we will display your championship belts and your artwork right here on the show. There will be a picture right here and just go pow, and it'd be right there so you could see all of your fine products, the link to wherever it is that you will have people who want custom championships. It could be right here. It is all up to you. We will work with you.
Yes. Anyways, so we have the Usos versus the Bar. So this last match was chaos. This match is a bit more controlled, but it's still a good one. The Bar are in control from the beginning. The Usos get a couple of shots in, but it is all Cesaro and Sheamus as they brutalize Jimmy Uso. Finally, he makes the tag to his brother Jey Uso, and Jey Uso is like a house of fire with his super kicks and his uppercuts and his Samoan drops. And him and his brother, they go on opposite turnbuckles to get ready for a Samoan splash onto Cesaro. But Sheamus pushes Jimmy Uso off. Jey goes for the splash, but Cesaro gets up and an uppercut to Jey Uso as he's coming off the top rope.
Fun.
He tags in Sheamus. Sheamus waits for Jey Uso to get to his feet. He hits the bro kick. Cover. 1, 2, 3. The Bar are your tag team champions.
Yes. Good. I'm glad to see this. Glad my boys could make it. And honestly,
it's all about the opportunity, right?
Honestly, Sky, this is exactly the reason why I got rid of them, because I knew that if you picked them up, you were going to treat them right, and I just couldn't do that for them, and I felt bad about it. So this honestly, it warms the little pity pats of my heart to see these guys win the tag team championships. Good for them. I'm happy that they're being used right.
But on the other hand, the Usos just lost the tag team championships after winning them last month. That cannot be good, my friend.
Well, it depends on. Well, I'd say it depends on what happens going forward, but there really is no going forward because this is the end of it. But that's if we were moving forward, it would be a unsanctimonious loss and a head scratcher for those involved.
Yes, it would be. So next, we'll move on to a backstage promo. And unfortunately, it's with the Messiah, Seth Rollins.
The monotone, droning Seth Rollins, no less.
Yep. So Seth Rollins is stretching and getting ready for his street fight versus Edge. And Renee Young comes up to Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins, with a quizzical look, asks, "What are you doing here, Renee? I'm getting ready for my match. I don't have time to interview with you." Renee says, "But I have questions. The people need to know stuff." And Seth Rollins says, the people. Fine, ask your questions." Renee Young, frustrated but unfazed, continues on and asks for why Rollins would use a chair and explain his actions over the past few months with Edge. And Seth Rollins says, "Why are you asking me these questions? You want an answer to my actions? Fine. I am the Messiah, the leader of the Black Hand, and all must embrace my light. For in this time of darkness, there should be one leader to rule everyone. Because with my leadership, I can be that guy who guides this world from a world of darkness to the world of light." And Edge, he rejected that light. And now, instead of glorification, I give him damnation. And Renee asks what Rollins is planning to do if he wins this match against Edge. And Seth Rollins says, "Well, that's a very simple answer. Edge will be sacrificed for the greater good of the Black Hand. And I know Edge is a dangerous man. He's an angry man. I understand. But he should understand that I have two aces in my sleeve."
Interesting.
Edge comes out of nowhere and spears Seth Rollins.
Oh.
And Edge, smiling, tells Seth Rollins, "I don't think you have two aces anymore." And as Edge walks away, Rollins gets up to his feet. And as he gets up to his feet, he looks around for Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake, his Black Hand. And he sees them a couple of feet away from him. And both of them are destroyed. Buddy Murphy laying across a production truck. Production box, sorry. But Wesley Blake face down on the ground. Rollins has realized he has no upper hand against Edge. It's truly going to be one-on-one.
That'll be fun. That's going to be fun. Well, it's going to be a barn burner. It's nice to see Seth. Seth would knock these promos out of the park if he was allowed to give some fire to them. And wasn't told to be just like a monotone, droning dweeb. But you know what? It's funny because you know who Seth Rollins needs? And I know I'm really nerding myself out here, but you know who Seth Rollins needs, given that promo?
Who does he need?
Sartorius. Because he wants people to see the light. And that's all he's ever wanted, is to see the light.
That would be good.
But could you imagine, because Seth Rollins would actually be able to pull that off, because he had the white outfit he used all the time in, 2015. You know, you pop that in, you change the gold, and, change it with, a metallic blue. Forget about it.
That'd be beautiful.
That'd be fun. So, for those of you who get that reference, you are a nerd. Continue.
So all 18 of us.
Yes, that's right. 18 strong.
Okay, so Andrade Cien Almas versus Keith Lee for the international title. Andrade ranked number 8, looking for his championship again. Keith Lee number 9, looking to go up in rank. This is a quick 8-minute match. Andrade tries to be more cautious because he got one hit KO last time. but Keith Lee is too strong, too powerful. He hits the he hits the big spirit bomb, cover 1, 2, 3.
Wow. That's a bit of a surprise.
I would say, again, it was an 8-minute match. It was a solid match, but Keith Lee is too strong, too powerful. That's really a surprise. Considering how strongly Andrade has been booked throughout this entire series, that one's a bit of a shocker, even as competitive as it might be. You know, because Keith Lee's a beast as well, so obviously that stuff. But I guess that's a tough one though, because what other outcome do you do? It's like there isn't any other.
Yeah, unless Andrade fucked Keith Lee in order to win it, but that would be in order to keep a program going. But
right,
yeah, that's a tough one.
There's a specific reason why.
Yeah.
Shall I reveal it?
Yes, please do.
I'm back, and I'm better than ever. Have a match.
Uh-oh.
We're making things better.
Is Keith Lee going to get attacked here?
Eric Bischoff walks to the stage with Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews as Keith Lee's in the ring. And Eric Bischoff, with the microphone, says, Keith Lee, the international champion, now number 8 ranked contender. I like what I see. And my boy, I need you. You have to join us. Think about it. Apollo Crews, Bobby Lashley, Keith Lee, the almighty crew. Imagine what we could do together. You're already the international champion. Now imagine you put it together with these two powerhouses and my genius. We could be world championship contenders. Think about it, Keith Lee. I'm going to give you some time, but let me know soon.
Okay. So an offer has been made.
An offer has been made from Eric Bischoff to Keith Lee, and it would be an interesting contrast.
It would. Well, it would be. I feel like inevitably there would be some conflict of interest between Bobby Lashley and Keith Lee, if Keith Lee did end up agreeing to that. So it's like it's cool because from a booking standpoint, from a booking standpoint, you've got options there. So if Keith Lee doesn't join, theoretically, if we were to continue this, if Keith Lee doesn't join, then you could get Eric to be offended and go after Keith Lee. Keith Lee does join the band of heels, you could kind of do that and have them run for a while, but then you could sow the seeds of mistrust because Keith Lee's a powerhouse and Bobby Lashley's a powerhouse, and inevitably they would have to butt heads, and then that would either probably turn Keith Lee back to babyface. So there's a lot of good directions you can head with that. Or even make
Bobby Lashley a babyface.
Yeah, depending on how that went or how the fans reacted to it. Moreover, because that's really the ultimate determining factor. But an interesting. Well, you can go a lot of different directions with that, which I like. I like open-ended stuff like that, even if we're not going to get to hear it.
Unfortunately, but speaking of open-ended stuff. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are waiting outside the locker room of Roman Reigns, and they both look nervous. Jey Uso knocks on the door, and finally, after a minute, Roman Reigns comes out. And Jey and Jimmy, looking at Roman, say, "Listen, Us, Roman raises his hand. What have I told you to? Jey and Jimmy Uso together, do not speak unless spoken to." Roman Reigns says, "That's right." He looks down, and he looks back up like a disappointed father. "You guys lost. I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear any excuses. You lost the championships. And because you lost the championships, you lost power. And because you lost power, you lost respect. Without respect, people won't fear you. Because people won't fear you, it will hurt the family. And when the family's hurt, I'm angry. So tell me, boys, why are you trying to make me angry?" Jey Uso starts begging to Roman, "Please, we did our best against the Bar. They're just too good." Jimmy Uso, with a moment of defiance, says, Hold on, that's not fair. You lost to Drew McIntyre last month. This is bull. Roman steps up to Jimmy Uso, mere inches from his face. Jimmy looking down, desperate to not see Roman in the eyes. Jey Uso in between, scared for what's going to happen to his brother. Roman takes one look at Jimmy, then he says, Jay, you better tell your brother to shut his mouth, because the only reason why I haven't broken it yet is because I have a fractured jaw. And then Roman backs up for a step. And Roman says, but you're not wrong, Jimmy. I did lose to Drew McIntyre. I underestimated him. He's one tough SOB. But I'm going to go after him again. And when the opportunity comes, I'm going to be the world champion. And with you two, when the opportunity arises, you will win the tag team championships. No excuses, no mercy. Whatever it takes. Now come here, Uso. Roman does the backslap hand hug with Jey Uso, then does it with Jimmy, then tells the both of them, now both of you, get out of here. You both stink. They both leave, and Roman goes back into his locker and shuts the door.
It's so nice having Roman Reigns actually in non-ACPW NWL terms be so good of a heel, so then this feels so much better with us doing it. It's so nice to know that he was always capable of this, you know?
Exactly. I mean, if you look at the picture, I stole it from Survivor.
I know you did. I know. That's what I'm looking at this whole time, and I'm sitting there, like, proud of Roman Reigns, because it's like, I wish that he had not been shackled so much earlier, but...
I think it's also a thing, too, of, again, he wasn't ready for it.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't ready to give this type of promo or this type of character work until now, when he was more experienced and more mature.
I will still say, though, that the real hardline babyface run overstayed its welcome. And if they had pulled the trigger on a heel turn in 2015 or 2017, you know, they could have made this... Imagine this Roman Reigns against The Undertaker back when they had their match. This Roman Reigns would make that match feel 1,000 times more entertaining.
I mean, this Roman Reigns in a crowd would really, really get heat.
Well,
and the fans would not cheer. And the fans would not cheer for him.
Yeah, and that's the best part. You know, it's and speaking of people who we would not cheer for, the next match.
Yes, the NWL street fight. Seth Rollins versus Edge. Seth Rollins has been messing with Edge, trying to force him to join the Black Hand. Edge has refused. And then when they had their match last week, Edge lost because of his Black Hands getting involved and giving Seth Rollins a chair to use behind the referee's back. But now, no disqualifications, no countouts, and no Black Hand for Seth Rollins. Edge is a merciless man. He makes his entrance for this match, doesn't even wait for the bell, lands shots on Seth Rollins. Rollins goes down to the outside of the ring, trying to grab any sort of weapon to get away from Edge. But Edge doesn't care. He slams him across the announce table. He throws him into the ring barricade. He grabs chairs, hits Seth Rollins over and over again. Seth Rollins finally gets an opportunity. He gets an opening and does a spin kick to Edge as he charges him with the chair. It hits Edge in the face, and finally Rollins has some separation. He grabs kendo sticks from underneath the ring and starts lacing up Edge's side with the kendo stick. He goes and rolls him back into the ring. Goes for the cover. 1, 2, kick out by Edge. Seth Rollins is undeterred. He goes back underneath the ring, grabs a table, throws it into the ring and starts setting it up on the corner, and then he grabs Edge and he throws him into the table, not breaking it, but setting him up to go through it. Edge is on the table lifeless. Rollins with the kendo stick makes a mark on Edge's chest. That's the spot. He goes across to the other side of the ring, charges into Edge, but Edge launches out of the table, hits a spear on Rollins. Cover. 1, 2, kick out by Seth Rollins. And Edge is a bit surprised that he kicked out of the spear, but clearly this is going to take more than one spear to win this match. Edge goes back to the outside, grabs another weapon. He gets more chairs and starts throwing them into the ring. And then he sets up a chair in the middle of the ring with Seth Rollins' head on it. And Edge grabs another chair. He's going to go for concerto. He goes for it, but Seth Rollins dodges it. He grabs Edge, trying to pedigree him on the chair. He goes for it, but Edge does a back body drop. Seth Rollins gets up. Edge goes off the ropes and clotheslines him over the ropes. He goes back outside, and the two of these men just start brawling with each other. Rollins is now trying to run away. He tries to go to the entrance ramp to get away from Edge, but Edge chases him down like a gazelle. They go up to the stage. Edge, looking to do more damage. He has Seth Rollins against the electric board. Edge spears him through the electric board.
Nice.
Kaboom, kaboom, explosions, explosions. Edge picks up the remains of Seth Rollins, throws him back into the ring. Cover. 1, 2. Oh, kick out again. Edge cannot believe it. So now Edge grabs the table that was set up in the corner. He puts Seth Rollins on the table. He goes up to the top rope. He goes off for a splash, but Rollins gets out of the way. But he's too hurt to make it. Edge goes through the table, but he can't get the cover. Both men are lying in a heap. And Sean, you have to ask the question.
Don't do it. No, please don't do it.
What do these men have to do?
Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, Christ. Every time.
Edge gets up. He starts trying to grab a chair, but he's still hunched over. Rollins goes off the ropes, hits the curb stomp on Edge on the chair, and then Edge's lifeless body is dragged to the middle of the ring. Rollins, he decides that that's not going to be enough. He goes to the top rope. He's going to go for his ultimate move, the Phoenix Splash. He goes for it, but Edge gets up with a chair and hits Rollins right in the head. And Edge, he picks up Rollins. He hits the DAT, and he decides he goes for one more spear. He goes to the corner, asking for Rollins to get up. Rollins finally stands up staggered, doesn't know where he is. He turns around to see Edge. Edge hits the spear for the third time. Cover. 1, 2, 3. Edge wins.
It's about goddamn time. It's about goddamn time. I was gonna ask how Edge got into being the 7th ranked contender when he had not won a single match in NWL, but finally,
if you remember, well, here's the
finally,
thing. If you
Seth
remember
winning.
from the first show, if you remember from the first show, when he returned, because that was his first match, Kurt Angle, our general manager, gave him the number 5 rank.
That's right.
And some felt that that wasn't deserved. And Edge has been on a losing streak. And the only reason why he had not fallen out of the ranks completely is because Keith Lee and Nick Aldis kept hating each other.
Yep.
But otherwise, I'm pretty sure Edge would have lost to them too and probably would have fallen out.
Yeah.
But Edge, with a defeat of Seth Rollins, that changes everything. Now he has a victory, and now he has confidence.
So if we were continuing on, which we emphasize we are not, then he would be able to actually make some moves happen, and who knows, maybe he'd get a world championship title shot down the line. But this is where it would all start, is right here.
Exactly. And speaking of which, we actually do have a number 1 contendership match.
Oh, snap.
It is number 2, Jon Moxley versus number 3, AJ Styles. Now, if you remember, these two men were involved in the 2 through 5 mini tournaments.
Yes.
Losing to Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens.
Yep.
But because Kevin Owens won it and is the number 1 contender, and because of Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens' injuries, both of these men have an opportunity to become the number 1 contender.
Yes.
So, who knows? Maybe they were the real winners. No. Actually, never mind. Anyways, so this match is a solid 15, 16-minute match. Jon Moxley and AJ Styles always have great matches. The finish for this match sees Jon Moxley trying to go for the paradigm shift DDT. AJ tries to get out of it wherever he can. He pushes Jon Moxley. Moxley hits the referee, and the referee goes to the corner. He doesn't go down for a full ref bump, but he's distracted. As Jon Moxley comes off the ropes, AJ Styles goes down, and arm between the legs, a low blow.
Oh, no.
AJ gets him in position for the Styles Clash. He hits the Styles Clash. Cover. 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Styles Clash is better than the forearm 100% of the time.
This is a debate that me and Sean have, is whether or not the phenomenal forearm is a good finish.
I hate it. I actually hate it. It's because AJ has so many other weapons at his arsenal that look better, that work better, and that are more feasible in the context of, well, no, I guess not, because I can't really hold AJ to pro wrestling standard. I gotta hold him to sports entertainment standard. But
well, okay, here's my counter to that. Okay, is that AJ has a bunch of finishers like the Styles Clash, the Phenomenal Forearm, and the Calf Crusher. So he has 3 different finishers in WWE, which a lot of wrestlers don't have. And I like that he has multiple finishers that he can pull out in multiple situations.
Yeah, I suppose. I will
agree. Of the 3 finishers, it's not the best one, honestly.
Yeah, a forearm to me just doesn't. Maybe, you know what it also could be? It's just that I'm so desensitized because all that modern pro wrestlers throw normally are forearms, because nobody except McIntyre and Reigns and like a few others throw punches, and very few throw good punches. So they all do forearms, and now I'm just completely desensitized to anyone throwing a forearm in any context. Even AJ Styles. I'd rather him do the 450. I'd rather him do the 450 springboard. If he's going to do a springboard,
he does the springboard 450 as a signature move.
Yeah, but what's the difference? A signature move is just a move that you do all the time, but it's like, and also, for what it's worth, it's a springboard 450. How many times are we going to have to see that before nobody gives a crap? You know, it's just,
right.
It seems so much more valuable as a finisher, and it's what won AJ the TNA Heavyweight Championship in 2009 against Sting for, I think that was at Bound for Glory.
It was.
That he won that, and I loved that match. That might be my favorite TNA match of all time. Now,
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Would you make this complaint during AJ Styles during the height of his WWE run, a la late 2017 and 2018?
Absolutely. Yes.
So you didn't like it even then?
I hate the phenomenal. I think that the forearm is a great. It's better as a transitional move or as a move in a comeback series than it is to finish out a match. I'd rather, because think about with AJ's moveset and the context of his moveset. So you're telling me that a forearm off the top is enough to put somebody down, but doing a full front flip body splash on somebody is going to get a 2 count. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's the context of what AJ does. That's why I'm saying
the forearm is more.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's just to me.
Debates we're gonna have another.
Yeah, my final thought on that. It's just like, given what the rest of what AJ does, and in the context of what would actually hurt somebody and how much that would actually hurt somebody, unless you're Lex Luger and you got a metal tin in your forearm, a mounting body splash would keep you more down than a forearm. In my opinion.
So maybe AJ Styles has had a metal plate inside his glove the entire time.
Well, then lead with that. Tell us that. You can't just have us assume for so long. But anyway, now we're getting ridiculous.
The loaded elbow pad.
Yeah. All this time, but it would honestly help AJ's gimmick if he actually did use a loaded elbow pad, because that's an old pro wrestling thing that I think would help. I'd like it more if he actually did load the pad up, especially because he does like pull the pad up every time he gets ready to do it. So you could make that a thing and then make that seem way more viable. He hit him with the loaded pad. The referee didn't see him load it. See? We just solved your problem, WWE. Problem solved.
Especially because he has his giant 7'3" associate Jordan with him.
Yeah, he could just literally hand it to him.
Yeah. Although we have to remember that Jordan was the Black Ninja in the Akira Tozawa segment with the Street Profits.
I've blocked that from my memory, and I do not appreciate you bringing it back up, sir.
I have just ruined AJ Styles' associate in months.
Oh, God. Anyway.
7'3" Black Ninjas.
God. What was 2020,
right,
man? What was 2020? Pro wrestling.
Everything.
Oi.
Anyway, so we have the NWL Women's Championship match. This is the co-main event. The champion, Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm. And before you say anything, Sean, no LL Charlotte wins, okay? I'm not doing that gimmick anymore.
I would hope not, because it's been every single gimmick every single month. So I would hope we're actually getting a good match here. Well, I hope we're getting a good match here.
I will try to give you a good match. Now, the reason why this is a last woman standing match is that if you remember, the last time that these two wrestled, Charlotte did not defeat Toni Storm. What she did was incapacitated her in the ring and then walked out with the championship. And she lost because the referee counted 10. So now this time, when the referee counts 10, there shall be a winner. Charlotte, from the get-go of this match, works on Toni Storm's legs. She's softening it up for the figure 4. And the first 10 minutes of this match does not see either of them go for weapons. They're doing this with basic, good grappling wrestling.
Nice.
And you could tell that as much as Charlotte Flair is the better wrestler, Toni Storm will not quit. She will stand up every time. Charlotte is starting to get frustrated because of the amount of quit that is in Toni Storm. So now she goes out to the ring, and she grabs a chair. She comes back in and starts kneeling Toni Storm. But Toni, again, needs to count of 10 at 6. Charlotte is frustrated. She goes back outside the ring as Toni's selling inside the ring. She grabs a table. She sets it up outside the ring. Then she grabs Toni Storm, and she puts her on the top rope. And this is starting to get dangerous territory. And Charlotte is trying to throw Toni off the top rope onto the chair, but Toni fights back. Then she gets off the top rope, and these two are fighting on the apron with each other, with the table looming large. And Charlotte, she grabs Toni Storm. She looks like she's going to go for a choke slam, but Toni blocks it. Then finally uses the rope and hits Charlotte's head off the rope. Charlotte falls onto the table. The referee starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Charlotte starts to stir. 7, 8, and the queen is up. Toni is unfortunately distraught. She realizes it's going to take more than that to beat Charlotte. So now she goes outside the ring, and she's looking for weapons that she can use against Charlotte Flair. And she finds one of my favorite weapons, and one of your favorite weapons, a cricket bat.
Okay.
And she goes to town on Charlotte with the cricket bat all across her body, and is using it to full advantage, and better than what they did at TakeOver War Games.
I still have not seen. I have not seen TakeOver War Games yet.
All right, by the way, can you do me a favor, Sean? Can you be William Regal for a second?
Umanga. Is that good? Did I do good?
No. I want to TakeOver War Games, damn it.
I did do William Regal. You can't say I didn't do William Regal.
Yes, but not the William Regal I wanted.
No, you're right. I'm like 13 years behind.
Yes, that is true. So Toni throws the cricket bat away. And now she has to ask herself what she has to do to get Charlotte to go down.
Now you're just doing that to get back at me. Now you're just trying to spite me, sir.
Yes, I am. So now she lines up Charlotte against against the ring barricade. And she goes over to the other side of the ring barricade, and she's about to charge into Charlotte. She goes for it, but she misses, and Charlotte gets out of the way. And Toni Storm is lying against the barricade, but it didn't break. It budged, though. Charlotte now does her charge, and she goes for a spear, and she hits Toni Storm with a spear through the ringside barricade, and they're in a heat. Charlotte starts burying Toni Storm with debris, grabbing chairs, grabbing the ring announcer's chairs, grabbing parts of the announce table and throwing it onto Toni Storm.
Jesus.
And she's buried under a pile of rubbish. She asks for the referee to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Charlotte is smiling. She even grabs the championship and holds it and is about to walk away. 5, 6, 7, 8. You see the rubbish start to change. It's moving. 9. Toni Storm gets up. And Charlotte Flair, she already walked to the entrance ramp. She's about to go up the entrance ramp when she hears that the Toni Storm has gotten up. She looks and sees Toni Storm getting to her feet and then falling back down. And Charlotte cannot believe this. So she drops the championship. She walks over to Toni Storm, angry. She asks Toni to stay down. She's about to do it. She sets up for the figure 8 leg lock on the outside. And before she does it, she does a little woo.
Sorry, what did she do? What was that she did?
A little woo.
No, that's not what she did. I want to hear what she did.
She does a little woo.
Oh, boo. All right, fine. Continue.
Wow, I wasn't. I'm not good at doing the woo. Okay.
No, it was great. I wanted a repeat performance just in case the fans had missed it. There we go. All right. All right. You know it, even though he's not on the show.
No, I did not put Zack Ryder on the show. It was a pay-per-view, man.
Fair enough.
No offense, Zack Ryder.
Sorry,
but
Zack.
You're not.
But you're not even on AEW
fair.
programming anymore. So.
I think that's by choice because he realized how stupid it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, so Charlotte's setting up for the figure 8, but Toni Storm, as Charlotte goes for the transition, kicks Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte goes head first into the ring apron. And then Toni grabs Charlotte, hits the Storm Zero, and finally she throws Charlotte into the rubbish that she was just in and starts burying Charlotte. And Charlotte is under a mess of things. The referee begins to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Toni Storm is your new NWL Women's Champion. She grabs the championship. She sits on top of the rubbish that Charlotte Flair is under and poses with the championship.
I repeat what I said about the Edge match. It's about goddamn time. It's about time somebody took that belt away from LOL Charlotte Flair. So,
right.
It's about time.
You saw the whole purpose of my women's booking, right?
The setup for the ultimate payoff, yes. And I think it worked. I mean, keeping Charlotte with that belt for that long made you want to see her lose it.
Right. And there were several women challengers that she went up against who could have taken the belt off her, but I decided not to. Just because I think face Toni Storm has a lot of untapped potential.
Yeah. Awesome. Good
it's
stuff.
It's just sad that they turned her heel at TakeOver.
I know. Yeah, NXT gets a little tone deaf sometimes, I've noticed. It's interesting, that. But
I don't know if it's interesting. It's just that even NXT is starting to suffer from main roster issues in that they don't know what to do with their roster because it's so stagnant. And they're not making any sort of character changes or character developments that you would want to see. Like, as much as I love Toni Storm, she doesn't have much of character or personality.
no, I'm finding that there's a lot of them that don't. And I think that it's a shame.
And And even the characters that they do have, they're starting to be stripped of their characters, and they're not interesting anymore.
They're starting to become more manufactured rather than organically them. And the manufacturing of pro wrestling is never going to sell.
Especially the case with someone like Johnny Gargano.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like Johnny Gargano a lot, but I hate how scripted all this shit is. I hate it.
I know.
But
if we move on to our final match, the main event, Drew McIntyre, the world champion, versus the #1 contender, Kevin Owens. And since WWE stole from me, I'm going to steal from them. Drew McIntyre makes his entrance for this match with the championship around his waist and a fucking Claymore sword.
All right.
And he puts the sword at the stage. He puts it down, and fire and explosions come out. Kaboom, 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 explosion, explosion, explosion.
Gotta love it.
And anyways, gotta love it. Drew McIntyre makes his entrance for this match. And as he's making his entrance, Kevin Owens from behind with the blindside attack. And he throws Drew McIntyre into the ring steps, taking the Triple H bump.
Naturally.
That's
the, for those of you who aren't aware, the ring steps is the quintessential Triple H bump. Because it's in literally every single match that he's ever done, ever.
Except for Elimination Chamber. And that's only because he can't bring the stuff with.
No, but he did bust through the glass a few times. So he there were ways around it.
I'm sure. Anyways, so Drew McIntyre is in the steps. Kevin Owens is getting ready to do a cannonball. As he goes for it, Drew McIntyre gets up and clotheslines him. And now these two men are just wailing on each other. And this match has not even started. And Kevin Owens throws Drew McIntyre around ringside. And these two are brawling. They're brawling over by the heap where Charlotte Flair was laying, where she may still be laying. I don't know. And then Kevin Owens throws Drew McIntyre across the announce table. And he's setting him up for a powerbomb through the table. He goes for it, and he hits it. Drew McIntyre has been laid out through the announce table. Kevin Owens gets back into the ring. And Drew McIntyre, ever the Defiant champion, gets back up. And he's holding his right shoulder. And it looks like it's injured. But he tells the referee he still wants to go. He gets into the ring. Both men are at their corners. And the referee calls for the bell. And Kevin Owens, like a shark in water, smells blood and goes right for Drew McIntyre's right shoulder, stomping the living hell out of it. And now he's doing arm wrenches. He's doing everything he can to wear Drew McIntyre down on the arm. He holds the arm over the rope. He grinds into it. He's down. He's dirty. He's going to make Drew McIntyre suffer. Drew McIntyre, ever the tough champion, fights out of it. But now he's a one-armed man. He's only fighting with his left arm. But he can still throw a mean punch with the left arm. And he's using the left hand for everything. Even though he is a righty, which is a very important thing that you need to know for this match to continue. And now, Drew McIntyre starts trying to do everything against Kevin Owens. He picks him up for a slam, but he's doing it with his left arm, not his right arm. And he goes for an overhead belly to belly. He loses it, and he has to let Kevin Owens go. Kevin Owens takes advantage with a super kick. He goes for the cover. 1, 2, kick out by Drew McIntyre. Kevin Owens isn't undeterred, though. He continues going on the right arm. He starts stomping on the hand, stomping on the arm, and Drew McIntyre is stuck. Kevin Owens starts applying a series of submission moves on the arm, including a stretch, an arm bar. He can't seem to get it from Drew McIntyre, though. Drew McIntyre fights out of it. He picks Kevin Owens up for a spine buster, left-handed, which is not how he normally does it. He can't go for the cover because he just grabs his right arm, and he's just trying to massage it, get any sort of feeling back into it. When both men get up, Drew McIntyre starts going for clotheslines left-handed. He goes for them, but he's not getting the same amount of power that he normally does. And then finally, Drew McIntyre goes for the Glasgow Kiss headbutt. He hits it on Owens. He goes to set up for the Claymore kick in the corner. As he waits for Kevin Owens to get up, he's trying to get any sort of feeling in the right arm. Kevin Owens gets up, Drew McIntyre goes for the kick, but he misses because Kevin Owens sidesteps it. Kevin Owens kicks Drew McIntyre in the stomach, and he goes for the stunner. He hits it. Cover. 1, 2, kick out by Drew McIntyre again. Kevin Owens can't believe it. He is frustrated. So now he picks Drew McIntyre up for a powerbomb. Drew McIntyre gets out of it. He goes off the ropes with a Claymore. Cover. 1, 2, kick out by Kevin Owens. And Drew can't believe it. Kevin Owens is the first man to kick out of the Claymore.
I thought so.
And now Drew has to wonder what he has to do to beat Kevin Owens.
God damn it.
So he goes to the ring corner one more time. As he's about to go for the Claymore kick, Kevin Owens grabs the referee and throws him into Drew McIntyre. And the referee takes a bump. Kevin Owens immediately bails out of the ring. Drew McIntyre starts chasing him around. Kevin Owens reaches underneath the ring, grabbing for anything. Drew McIntyre pulls him out. But Kevin Owens, with a fire extinguisher, sprays Drew McIntyre in the face. And Drew is blinded. Drew has no idea what's going on. Kevin throws him back into the ring. Kevin Owens gets into the ring himself and picks Drew McIntyre up for the powerbomb. He hits it. Cover. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens is your world champion.
Jeez. This was a title-changing show.
And Sean, it's not over because Kevin Owens grabs Drew McIntyre and throws him outside the ring. He gets him next to the apron. He puts him in position. You know what's coming. He picks him up and he powerbombs his neck into the ring apron, just like he did to Daniel Bryan. And Drew McIntyre grabs his right arm in his neck, and he can't move.
Oh, snap. Stretcher job?
Stretcher job.
Stretcher job. Love it. I love ending on a stretcher job. You got to stop taking my finishes, though, bro. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Kevin Owens, this championship match ends with Drew McIntyre on the stretcher. Kevin Owens posing over the injured McIntyre with the championship.
That's intense. It's a new era in NWL that we'll never get to see because we're never doing this after this moment. But
if that was the case, I had to get the title change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what a final image.
Yeah, that would be a stunner. I think people would be real shocked at that title change, especially just given the events leading up to it. So,
anyways, I apologize for running so long because I realize that we are pressed for time.
It is okay.
I will turn it over to you.
But that was a hell of a fun show. Frozen Frontier, good stuff. NWL, dude. Honestly, from start to finish, as difficult as it is to book these things, from start to finish, you put on an engaging, entertaining sports entertainment show. And I'm very, very thankful that you were able to hop on and bring us such quality.
This is not sports entertainment. This is professional wrestling, damn it.
I was trying to just gloss right over it, just keep segueing into the show, but you did catch it. No, in all seriousness, though, everything that was entertaining that had some level of sport in it was pretty good. You booked some real good matches and some real good feuds, and I think that if these had come to pass, you would have gotten quite a few people to watch this show.
I would have.
So, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you Winter Warcraft, which was going to be called Revelation, which I think if we were going to do a longer version and this was meant to be an actual WrestleMania, like, big event, it would be, but I probably would have, if we were doing a year's worth, I'd probably have my big show probably be in August or September. But in any event, Winter Warcraft, ladies and gentlemen, it is a huge show. Everybody had to get on the card, and I just realized in the wee moments of that world title match of NWL that I had forgotten to add 2 people. But thankfully, I added 2 people right in the spur of the moment. And so, we will start here in the pre-show. Yes, that's right, folks. We have a pre-show. Because this is our big event. We are actually getting pay-per-views here all along the East Coast. So people are going to be able to watch this preview show for free. And then they will have to pay the money to actually watch the main show. But we've got 3 matches that have some sort of significance. Maybe. And we start...
There's not enough significance to end up on the main show.
That's right. But serviceable matches nonetheless. Because we give quality matches regardless. The first match is Jinder Mahal versus Man Scout Jake Manning. And I will say this in advance. A lot of these matches leading up to like the final 5 or 6 don't have much context or story behind them because we weren't and we're not doing anything further. I kind of had to end all the feuds, or at least cut 2 pieces of the feuds. And some of these ones below, because I was obligated to get everyone on the card, I just didn't... You don't need every match on the show to have backstory. It's fun to do, but sometimes it's nice to just have a few angles and then the rest just be wrestling.
Oh, exactly. You're there both a multi-man match.
So, yeah, and no multi-man matches on this show except for tag matches.
The closest I got was a tag team gauntlet.
That's it. There you go. So all singles and tags here. So Jinder Mahal versus Man Scout Jake Manning. This is actually a surprisingly serviceable match. Gets about 7 minutes, and Jinder Mahal is going to win with the Colossus. That's your lot.
Don't hinder the Jinder.
Don't hinder the Jinder. That's right. Well, I felt bad because I had to use him to job to a couple people to accomplish some things, so I needed to give him a win back. So
it's one of those things where you could build Jinder Mahal if you have more time in a mid-card sense before you put him in the world title seat. I don't know who I'm talking about. WWE.
Yeah, like I'm definitely going to put Jinder Mahal in my world title right now, which, yeah.
No.
Now, then we move on, and of course, this all started, we've got Toni Schiavone and Matt Striker. I'm sure, obviously we know this at this point. So then we go back to them, they talk a little bit, and then the next match, before we have that, JR is in the ring with Sammy Guevara and Orange Cassidy.
Oh, no.
Now here's the interesting... now, this is where I got kind of silly. So, when you look for comedy in wrestling, this is good. This is where it's going to come from. So, JR goes, all right, guys, I know you guys wanted this time. You made sure you asked General Manager, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Arn Anderson for this time. So, what is it you want to tell us? Because this is something you requested. And Sammy goes, listen, JR, we've got a lot in common, Orange and I. We're both underappreciated. We're both smaller than people expect pro wrestlers to be. But you know what we're not? We're not pushovers. And now, from now on, we're tired of being pushed around. And yeah, my man Orange right here, he doesn't say much. He doesn't really want to be here, but his dad's making him be here. But you know what he is good at? He's good at being in the limelight of a true great like me, Sammy Guevara. And he wants the success like Sammy Guevara. And so we are going to take that success. Isn't that right, Orange? Yep. That's right. And now, every time that you see us, JR, we're going to be teaming up. So look out, ACPW's tag division, because there's two kids on the block. But we're more than kids, we're men. And we're men ready to take on all challengers and win those ACPW Tag Team Championships. Isn't that right, Orange? Yep. Because the truth is, no matter what you do, no matter where you are, there's one thing that we are the best. Because Sammy Guevara and Orange Cassidy, we're coming for that tag division. And JR, you wondering how we're doing it? Well, there's one thing you got to know about us. Orange Guava, we don't squeeze and tell. I told you it was gonna get silly.
So stupid. It's brilliant.
It's so as this happens, JR is like, he doesn't even know what to say. He's like, orange guava? Is that what you call it? He's so confused. Well, as JR is like trying to figure out, unpack all of that, down comes DIY. And they come in and they say, well, you know, everyone else seemed to have been booked on this show except us. And I don't know what the deal is, and you two think you're so tight, you get this airtime space to talk about your little kid party with juices. Why don't you face a real team like us right here, right now? Because we just got out of Arn Anderson's office, and he just signed the match. And the referee is right behind him. Looks like we're going to have this match right here, right now. So it's Orange, with the team of Orange Guava, which is Orange Cassidy and Sammy Guevara, versus, I can't even say it without laughing, versus DIY. And now this is going to be absolutely ridiculous. You ready to hear this? This is a 10-minute match. It goes all 10 minutes, and then thanks to a sleight of hand, because Orange Cassidy puts his hands into his pockets and pulls out a chain, and the referee sees that and immediately goes to like grab the chain, and as the referee's getting rid of the chain, Orange Cassidy pulls out of his other pants pocket another chain and hits Gargano with it, puts it back in his pocket. The referee turns around. Sammy's got Ciampa distracted. The cover, 1, 2, 3. Orange Guava wins against DIY.
Okay, you are doing DIY dirty, man.
I gotta drop them. This is the last thing. I know I'm doing them dirty. But see, here's my thing, right? If we were doing something in the future with this, which we're not, but if we were doing something with this in the future, my idea is that this would be a turning point for DIY, for better or worse. This loss on a pre-show would, for how far they've fallen since they got here to now, that would be a big part of what would go forward from them. And that they couldn't even beat Sammy Guevara and Orange Cassidy, a team named after a juice.
I know. And that's the thing I would think, is that you're probably going to break them up as a single wrestler. They're probably better at single wrestlers.
I didn't mean to do them dirty, but doing them dirty was kind of the point. So that then you know, it would, because anything between Gargano and Ciampa is A-grade matches. You know,
yeah, it's either that or they're going to become the next NWL Tag Team Champions.
Hey, it's happened before. It has happened before, but it's not happening again because this is it. and so then we move on to the third and final match, which is another tag match, and you thought that was belligerent and degenerate. It is the tag team of Hanson and Rowe versus the Young Bucks.
Oh.
And I will
Why?
Because I needed everyone on the show. And I will relieve you, Sky, because this is a quick one. Within 4 minutes, Hanson and Rowe do that pop-up power slam that looks awesome. And and this is the first time that they have ever used it or been able to use it, is against two middle school balding 36-year-olds who are also very small. So seeing them pop up power slam a buck raises some eyes to this team, because they've jobbed all the time, all the way up until this very end now, and now just finally they get a win. because I'm actually finally over their backlash thing because the Young Bucks have done way worse. So pop-up power slam, 4-minute match. Hanson and Rowe look more impressive than they have in the 7 weeks leading up to, against the team that would make them look good just by how small and fragile they are.
Thank God.
So you ready for the main show, sir? That was the free show. You didn't have.
We don't have any other worse talent than the Young Bucks.
You didn't have to pay for any of that. We didn't make you pay for that. We're gonna make you pay for the rest of this.
Okay, but that concerns me because there's a certain wrestler that I know is on your show that I'm not gonna like.
Is it Mr. Andersoni?
No, not that one.
He's not anymore. Well,
no, but there's another one. But just continue.
Okay. Well,
you'll find out who it is real quick.
Yeah, Oh, you know why? Because it's the first match. It's Walter versus Fake Diesel.
Oh no.
Well, keep in mind this is not Fake Diesel. This is Glenn Jacobs. Because
I don't care who he is. I hope he gets beat real quickly.
Because Fake Diesel was thrown away in the first episode because Glenn Jacobs was just being Glenn Jacobs. And you will be relieved to know that Walter just powerbombs Glenn Jacobs, and that's your lot. I needed to give Walter another win. He's a big dude. He'll get the crowd starting hot. Even though he's a heel, I mean, he's still a big dude, and big heels can win just being big.
Big boys.
Big boys. Got a lot of big boys on this show.
By the way, it is a little bit sad that we could not get Walter versus a prime Glenn Jacobs.
I know. It probably would be really good. Either that or Kane would... See, the interesting thing with Glenn Jacobs, it's like, with big men, either he has great chemistry with them or he has no chemistry with them. And there's no middle ground.
Right.
Like, he had great chemistry with Umaga, I thought. But I've never liked his matches with The Undertaker that much. It's the weirdest thing.
You want to know what the first feud I saw with Kane that made me like, was when he was feuding with Great Khali.
Oh, Christ. Bad. I mean, it's Great Khali. Who had good chemistry with Great Khali? Batista did.
Batista, he's the only one.
Batista had some good matches with Great Khali. We're getting way off track here. We already got past... So Glenn Jacobs, thanks for coming, buddy. Thanks for doing some jobs, baby. And
now go back to being a mayor.
Yes, you're needed elsewhere. Match number 2.
And wear a goddamn mask.
Match number 2. Robert Roode versus Silas Young. Battle of the Mustachioed Men. Because this is a show of men. And then this one goes, I believe about, actually not that long. A surprisingly short amount. Only goes 5 minutes. And Robert Roode beats Silas Young with a spine buster. After Silas Young tries to cheat and is unsuccessful at cheating, I don't really have anything specific for that.
Probably tries to, like, I don't know, distract the referee so he could get the turnbuckle unbuckled and try to throw Robert Roode into it, but then it backfires.
Yeah, the thing is, this is another one where I don't think that there was anything necessary for an angle here. I think just a regular 5-minute match keeps the show moving along, get the wrestling in, Robert Roode gets a win. Silas Young, I just got nothing for after the whole Trevor Mann thing. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But you need matches like this, as we said.
Right, just like Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi.
Exactly. And up next is a 7-week in the making match, a full circle match. It is Pentagon Jr. with Zelina Vega versus Heath Slater. Now, if you recall, Pentagon lost his first match on the first week to Heath Slater via roll-up after countering the arm attempt of being broken. Pentagon lost a couple matches after that. Trevor Mann, formerly known as Ricochet, who is still injured, by the way. He's the only one who did not end up on the show, but because they do there is an update with him, like a via cam update in the middle of probably during the pre-show, I would say, just how he's doing, because again, it's not really a main show thing, and because his arm was broken, I'm not going to bring him back just 2 weeks after the fact, or even 3 weeks after the fact. I'm going to let him actually give it 4 or 5, or I would. So consider that
you're actually going to let him sell an injury?
Yes, and on that basis, so I'm calling the injury clause.
Huh? Oh God! Hold on.
So.
Okay. After the show, I have an update I need to give you.
Oh God, I'm intimidated. I am intimidated.
Actually, you want to hear it now, just for fun?
All right. Well, it's interesting. We always end up with these breaking news segments in these shows, so we might as well pause this moment for the breaking news segment. Skyler's breaking news. I'm going to come up with an intro for that.
Brandy Rose is pregnant.
Oh, congratulations. Does that mean she won't be on television? Please?
Yes.
Please?
So we're gonna see her with a pregnant belly, aren't we?
Fine, but that means that there's gonna be 6 months after 9 months that no Brandy. No Brandy. Please. Congratulations, Cody. Congratulations, Brandy. I hope it is a beautiful human baby.
It will definitely be a mixed race.
Well, we'll get to Cody later on, because Cody's got a big matchup coming up. But in the context of Pentagon,
Cody Rhodes can join the Dad Squad.
Oh God.
Dad.
Oh, Dad Squad. Yes.
Dad.
That's right. The Dad Shield that we had before. If you're looking for the reference to that, go check out the Survivor Series review on the Totally Awesome podcast, or find the link in the description, which will be to that particular show. Pentagon versus Heath Slater. So after Trevor Mann got his arm broken by Pentagon, and Pentagon and Zelina started going back on a tear, Pentagon started breaking arms, just started going snap-a-rap, snappity-dap. And I almost get the feeling that Man Scout Jake Manning might have had his arm broken, and I might have forgotten that. But maybe he insisted on working. I don't remember. Let's not get into the logistics of this now.
I remember when Matt Hardy worked with a broken arm, and he had
3 fractured metatarsals on every. I loved those promos where Matt was whining about his broken head all the time. I loved it. I loved 2009 heel Matt Hardy is the best Matt Hardy.
It's underrated.
That feud with Jeff was great. Between the heel turn, the WrestleMania match where Matt Hardy got his WrestleMania moment, and the I Quit match at Extreme Rules afterwards or Backlash, that feud deserves more recognition.
But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. We need to talk about the match.
Yes. So Pentagon and Heath Slater, I'm giving it a context to this match with a very small finish. So Heath Slater, Pentagon went after Heath. Pentagon said, I haven't forgotten, because Pentagon went kind of on a rampage back towards all the people that he had lost to. So Heath was the final one. So now the loss to Heath is where it started to go wrong for Pentagon. So now they're going to make it right. This match, real simple. Zelina Vega, of course, gets involved with hitting Heath in like the back of the head with something as the referee, or as Heath Slater goes to hit the ropes. That's enough to trigger the package pile driver. And 1, 2, 3, Pentagon wins. And then, of course, Zelina Vega lifts up, makes the snap of her fingers, and you know what that means. Bada bing, bada boom.
Snap.
Bada bing, bada boom, the broken arm in the room. How you doing?
Get out of here, Enzo Amore.
So he's oh no, and then Enzo Amore tries to hijack the show in the third row, and security tackles him.
No, he is not involved at all. Weird.
No, he got tackled and then beaten senseless, and then we got in the back.
He still has everything,
but we didn't see any of that. That doesn't get seen. Anyway, we gotta start getting serious here. This is the third matchup. Match number 4. Oh, yes. All right, now we're going to get into some serious stuff. Now, match number 4, I wanted to put this later on in the show, but for the purposes of not having 3 tag matches in a row, I decided to break this up. So in match number 4, it is a vengeance match. It is a big, big grudge match. A tag match. You know which one I'm talking about?
Does it have to do with a certain group that is undisputed?
It certainly does have to do with wrestling's finest. It is Adam Cole and Roderick Strong versus Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. To spark notes you all up to speed, because there was a lot that went on. There's a lot that went on in this feud. Basically, Fish and O'Reilly got upset that Cole was starting to turn babyface. They didn't want to turn babyface. Cole and Britt Baker were together. Then the heels, Fish and O'Reilly wanted to cheat. Cole tried to stop them. Then eventually Cole really did stop them, even though they won and then, or they lost, I'm sorry, the DIY. Then O'Reilly went to go hit Adam Cole, hit Britt Baker instead. Now Adam Cole wants revenge on O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Got some help in the form of Roderick Strong, the debuting Roderick Strong last week or the week before. And then it turns out Roderick Strong saw everything, so now he's on Adam Cole's side, and now we have this tag match.
And scene.
So that's our Spark Notes version. If you want to hear the entire context with all the promos and all of that, just go back and watch the last 7 months of ACPW programming.
I'm sure that would make for a great video package before this match airs.
It is, and it would be. It would be a great video package. Some of the best video packaging you've ever seen on this side of the country. Yep. Here in Atlanta. And so here's how the match goes. I'm really just talking notes here, but I'm going to give these guys good 20 minutes. Because it's these 4 guys, and they're terrific. The story of this match is that no matter what Cole tries to do, he cannot get his hands on Bobby Fish or Kyle O'Reilly. So they either leave the ring, or they tag out, or they just escape, or they keep him down, or in most of the cases, just keeping the heat on Roddy and keeping the corner cut. So Adam Cole cannot get to these 2, and he's getting angrier and angrier and angrier. So finally, there's the big hope spot. Roddy gets ready. Of course, Fish is going to tag in O'Reilly, and Fish tags in O'Reilly, and then right at the last second as O'Reilly's coming forward, boom, there's the tag to Adam Cole, and House of Fire, blah, 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 and a big comeback. And it goes with the big comeback, and now, as the ref is occupied, Bobby Fish, and then Roderick Strong gets tagged back in, he doesn't get tagged back in, Fish gets tagged back in, and there's continuing the fight. Cole and O'Reilly are breaking off, and Roddy and Fish. There is a tag back to O'Reilly in there. There is, as they try to get some separation. So Cole and O'Reilly are still the legal men. So Fish and O'Reilly, the referee is kind of, Roddy and Bobby Fish, I should say, are in the ring, and the ref's kind of trying to restore some order here. So because they're both legal men, even though they're brawling in the ring, the referee's trying to do all he can with them. So there isn't a count as O'Reilly and Cole leave the ring. Follow me?
Following.
So, okay. So there's no referee count because he's distracted with the illegal men. O'Reilly gets the advantage over Cole. And then finally, O'Reilly picks up a chair. And he's finally going to bash Adam Cole for everything that Adam Cole has done to them, which is have a girlfriend and be nice. So that O'Reilly, he's ready. He sees it. He's looming up. He's getting ready to hit it. He lifts that chair behind his head, and right at that moment, from the crowd comes 2 hands who pull that chair out. O'Reilly turns around, and who would it be? Britt Baker. Takes the chair out of O'Reilly's hand, slaps O'Reilly straight in the face with her palm. O'Reilly reels a little bit, gets turned in. Cole jumps O'Reilly, brings him in. By this point, Roddy has gotten O'Reilly, or has gotten Fish out of the ring. So they're now wrong on the outside. O'Reilly gets hit. Cole lines him up. Last shot. 1, 2, 3. The baby faces have won. Adam Cole has gotten his redemption, and Britt Baker just had a little bit to do with it.
That's a good way to book it and tie everything together.
Thank you. And that way, I was trying to figure out how to get Britt involved, because what I gave her, because she got hit in the head with a steel chair, is she had a pretty major concussion. So I couldn't put her at ringside at all. Because if she was going to sell that, why would Adam Cole have his girlfriend, who had just had a major concussion at the hands of the people he's fighting? Take notes, Brandy, speaking of. Why would he have his wife there to try and fight and put her in harm's way? He wouldn't.
Right, exactly. But I think what you came up with is probably the most logical and would work in story with the characters that you have created.
And the other thing, too, is I toyed around with the idea of Britt Baker hitting O'Reilly with the chair, but I don't want to undersell the value of a chair shot. So I left it so that, no offense to, and again, people are going to call this sexist, but a woman swinging a steel chair at a guy will not warrant the same effect as a man swinging a steel chair at a guy, for the sheer amount of physical velocity they can put behind it.
Right. But you had to have her involved because she was part of the storyline, and she's what triggered Adam Cole's rage.
Yes.
So you need to get it.
Yeah, she needed something, but I also didn't want it to be that, she did something really got physically involved, so then you couldn't make the argument that Cole, or that, you couldn't make the case that the babyfaces cheated, because they didn't, right? If she had hit him with the chair, then the babyfaces cheated, and then there's something else. But if, again, we're not doing this, but if we were down the road, the slap to O'Reilly is enough so that the heels have an out, so then next week they could go out and start bitching. It was like, oh, Britt Baker wasn't involved in the match and she made physical contact and blah, 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 blah. So they could have the out and the whining and the complaining of the heels. They still got that, but it's not like the baby faces actually cheated.
Agreed.
So that is that. I really, from start to finish, really enjoyed, I'm going to sound like such a mark here, but I really enjoyed booking these four guys and Britt Baker. It was, from start to finish, this was one of my favorite storylines to do.
Agreed. I think altogether it's one of your best storylines you came up for ACPW.
Thank you.
And it's a good storyline. But now I'm interested to see what Adam Cole does. Hopefully, if he was given the opportunity.
Yes. It'd be interesting where all four of these people would go beyond this point. But it's a shame we'll never get to it. But moving right along.
I do want to ask you a question, John.
Yes.
This is something that I've noticed about your company that you didn't do. You didn't introduce a mid-card championship.
Correct.
And what was the reason?
Not enough people.
Really?
Not enough people. I don't think that a secondary championship adds value when the roster's so thin. Because you remember, with only 30 slots, I gave 8 of them to tag teams. So I had a lot to work from there. I added tag teams, I created tag teams, I separated tag teams, and I've got 2 divisions. I think that with the feuds, I think it was better to add feuds. It made more, and again, not everybody needs a story. We had enough angles to where the angles enough were the gimmicks. If you added a title onto some of the angles, it would end up being a gimmick on a gimmick. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I felt like I wanted to introduce a mid-card championship, but I felt with what we had and what I had to work with, I think it would have just complicated things more than they had to be complicated.
That's fair. it feels kind of like how NXT during their first, 4 or 5 years where they didn't have a mid-card championship,
Yeah.
but they had so many storylines going around the main title, and because the roster was always in an influx, you could get away with just having one singles championship.
Yeah. And if things ever did change, and also it just because of we just started in the big picture of this 7 weeks in, we just started. There's plenty of time to introduce mid-card titles. If this were an actual company that was going in the long haul, there's time for that. There's time to introduce the women's division. It's better not to give them everything all at once, I think.
Well, the thing is, I gave everything up at once, and I think it turned out pretty well.
I think it did too. It's two schools of thought that would probably get different results, but both have successful outcomes.
Although I do admit, for me, it was difficult to book the mid-card championship as being important because the rankings are so focused on the top title and the top championship. A lot of wrestlers would go for that and not the mid-card title. So I understand what you mean.
Yeah, and
if I had to do this over again, that's the one thing I would want to change. I want to focus more on making the mid-card title matter.
Yeah, and that was another thing, too, is I feel like it would have been lost in the shuffle a little bit. I would have been making those matches a little haphazardly, and I didn't want to do that. I would have rather really concentrated the build of the card up to that main event without making that mid-card seem like a mid-card belt. Because if I want to introduce a belt, I want it to have some level of prestige to it. And I need the titles we got to have the prestige first. So, that's that.
But we're in the middle of hypothetical booking. We need to continue this
That's
show.
right. Up next, and now this is going to be a quick one, too. It is, first of all, we get a Shorty G promo to start out, because out comes Shorty G, and Shorty G is like, so I get this guy who thinks he's competition, but he's not competition. I've looked this guy up on the internet. You can't even, there's like two things about him. I think, you know what the most famous thing that this guy's done? Got swept under the rug. He's a nobody. He's a nothing. He's a guy who feigns humanitarianism. He is not the athletic god that I, Shorty G, am. And tonight, when I embarrass this man, even though he might be taller, he is not anywhere the physical specimen I am. And when I'm finished embarrassing this man and he's left with his tail between his legs, everyone's going to look at me and realize that the guarantee of Shorty G is that GOLD around my waist. How come...
I'm glad you took my catchphrase, but you worked it into your own thing.
Well, I actually flipped your catchphrase. Because your catchphrase was, that's a Shorty G guarantee. My catchphrase was, the guarantee of Shorty G is the GOLD around my waist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So it's... We're keeping it as a healthy respect for each other's copyrights, but I think that collectively we've made Shorty G very unlikable.
Yes, we have.
and that was the point. And out
we
comes,
made the stupid name change work. Thank you,
right.
Joshua.
That's right. That's one of the few. I'm actually very proud that he gave me Shorty G, and I was able to work this so well into having him be of marketable value as that gimmick. But anyway, his opponent is Titus O'Neil. And which is why I really appreciate that line that Shorty G cut about the most famous thing Titus O'Neil ever did was get swept under the rug.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
So, Titus O'Neil comes out. He doesn't cut a promo. He's game face time. This match goes. This one, because of the fun we had just recently with 20 minutes, only goes 10. Goes 8. It's competitive. Shorty G looks like he's going to win, even though Titus O'Neil has made this comeback. But Shorty G, he's been kind of sneaky. He's been sleight of hand. He's raked the eyes and gotten a couple, pulled the hair and well, right, Titus O'Neil. Well,
what hair is he pulling?
He's pulled on the skin follicles of Titus O'Neil. That's I never really thought about that, of how hair
Imagine
can be
if you
such a
grabbed the
detriment.
eyebrows of a wrestler.
Oh my God. Why would that would be
hurt.
Kevin Dunn would cream himself trying to shoot that. Anyway. But he does the eye pokes, and he does, these things where the referee is he's getting out of hand, right? Shorty G's getting out of hand.
Right.
He goes to hit that inverted angle slam, and as he's about to hit it, Titus O'Neil basically just headlocks him, and as he headlocks him, Shorty G shoots him off. Titus O'Neil gets a big clothesline. Shorty G does the in and out bump. And as he comes back up, because the bump was so big, it almost knocked him back on his feet, theoretically. Thank you, Shawn Michaels, for that concept. He takes a bump so big that it actually makes him all the way back up. And at that moment, Titus O'Neil hits the Clash of the Titus. 1, 2, 3.
That's a good win for Titus O'Neil.
Now, here's the thing. Shorty G has been winning consistently. This is Shorty G's first loss, save for the Hart Foundation Cup. But he was not pinned at that moment.
That was Cesaro who was pinned in that match.
Which I appreciate I appreciate you doing that. This is Shorty G's first loss. It's not that I wanted Shorty G to lose this match, but I more needed Titus O'Neil to win this match. Because
Titus needed a win.
Yeah, as the humanitarian, the Mr. Humanitarian babyface that he is, and the fact that he stood up to Jeff Cobb and got close, now Titus O'Neil needed something other than, I think he only had one win prior to this. He needed something to where if he called somebody out, he has some credibility behind his statements.
Right, plus it doesn't hurt Shorty G because as a good, annoying, pesky heel, he'll be able to get his heat back, no problem.
Yeah, he'll be fine. And honestly, for the fact that over 7 weeks and an interpromotional appearance, Shorty G's been booked fairly strong.
He fucking tapped out the NWA World Champion.
Yeah, he's been booked pretty strong. So this is honestly, with this high up on the card, this is a pretty big deal for Titus O'Neil. If we had ever done anything beyond this. But
right.
This would have been for Titus O'Neil. Now, up next, 4 more. Outlaw Inc. versus the Briscoes. This is going to be quick. This would be a barn burner brawl. And Skyler, you know how I was saying earlier about you stealing a finish? So
which finish did I steal?
So the end of this match is that it's about 10 minutes of them trying to have a match, and then it just absolutely combusts and breaks down, and Eddie Kingston and Mark and Jay Briscoe and Homicide just start beating the absolute piss out of each other, and eventually the ref's just like, all right, we're done here, and double counts out both, double disqualifies both. It's a draw. It's a big brawl. 10 minutes of attempt to a match, another 5 or 6 minutes of just straight up brawling through the crowd everywhere. There's referees trying to break everything up. There's baby faces eventually who have to come in, and actual wrestlers restrain the 4 as it finally gets broken down. Neither team wins. It's just straight up fighting from blue collar fighters. Do you see what I mean?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. See, it's a viable finish. Because what was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do with those 2 teams? Who was I supposed to have win that?
You can't have either of them win unless you wanted to end the feud right away.
Yeah,
it's a good way to get the stuff going, and that's why I ultimately went with the New Day and the Almighty Crew.
Yeah, and it's not even for the fact that I would want to keep that feud going. It's more for the fact that Outlaw Inc. were booked as badasses all the way up to this point. The Briscoes have been dirty, cheating heels up to this point. The Briscoes gave Outlaw Inc. a win, although they didn't ask for the cheating help, and then I don't want your help is what led to this, and we didn't ask for your help. And then these guys, I mean, what is these guys' MO? they're not going to be having Steamboat Flair matches anytime soon. Any of these 4 individuals.
You could, okay, in the hypothetical, if you were to continue with this feud, if we were to continue booking, you could probably do like a street fight or something like that, because that would be something that all 4 of these guys would happily take part in. Yeah, because they want to tear each other apart.
A street house or a street fight or like a bunkhouse brawl, not the one with bales of hay in the middle of the goddamn ring.
You saw that?
But I mean, or maybe like, you know, it'd be nice for these teams like a good old fashioned Memphis concession stand brawl. Where all of a sudden the camera just goes, like, actually just follows down, and all of a sudden 4 guys are just in the middle of a concession stand just beating the piss out of each other out of nowhere. You know, it's...
As long as you don't book anyone to be thrown into a cotton candy machine.
No, well, not unless the cotton candy machine was just available to the wrestlers. And this is something really... I'm glad you brought that up, because this is something worth noting, especially as we get into the next matches. There's nothing underneath our rings. If there's something that someone's going to use, it's around in the building. You know, we're not loading the rings with ladders and chairs and barbed wire bats and any of that. No, the chairs that O'Reilly got, he took that from the timekeeper. He pulled the timekeeper down and got the chair. You know, Okay,
so you're not doing what I did with modern ACW stuff.
Right, which is fine. There is certainly an audience for that, you know. But in the context of what I wanted ACPW to be, if there's a match that has a stipulation, if you're gonna hit somebody in the head with something, it's just whatever you can find.
That's fair.
It's whatever's around. It's like that match of the week we had with Jerry the King Lawler and Terry Funk in 2015, where Funk got like a big plastic garbage bin full of brooms fresh out of the Kenny Omega collection.
Those brooms for Kenny Omega's broom girls.
And anyway, let's move on. So
before we get any more silly.
So yeah, before this gets any worse. That was Outlaw Inc. and the Briscoes. Now we're into the creamy stuff. Now we're into the good stuff. It is tag team title time. Another big from the first matchup. The main event of week 1 was this matchup for the tag team championships. The Hardys got screwed. The Hardys fought their way back. They had a couple bumps along the way. And now, with the threat of Jim Cornette telling the Hardys that they don't mind getting disqualified or counted out, because that retains their titles, the Hardys go up to face FTR for the ACPW Tag Team Championships. Are you ready?
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Is Matt Hardy going to act like an idiot?
No.
Okay, good. Continue.
No. And Jeff will not be victory roading it either. Just getting both of those out of the way. So, during this 25-minute match, the Hardys and FTR...
25 minutes.
The FTR... Well, this is a 30-minute time limit, is the way I put it. So I gave them all the time. Because the way I picture it is that these two, unless they were both all crippled, they're having a good match. Give them the time to have it. You know, so this is the finish. So during this match, FTR do try to get disqualified a couple times, and it gets foiled, and the referee sees it, or blah, blah, blah. Here's the finish. The comeback is by Jeff. So, of course, there's the whole match structure, and I'm not going to tell the wrestlers how to work their match. Jeff goes up. Matt Hardy hits a twist of fate on Cash Wheeler. Jeff goes up for a swanton. As Jeff goes up the top rope for a swanton, Dax gets back in the ring and brawls Matt directly at the referee. So the ref just gets a little out of position because they're just moving right toward the referee. That small enough distraction is enough for Jim Cornette to hit Jeff in the back with the tennis racket. And Jeff gets, he's hit bad, and now he's like hunched over, but he doesn't fall off the top rope. Instead, Cash gets up. Cash gets Jeff's legs on his shoulders. He lifts him up. Dax is ready because he knocked Matt Hardy down. Dax gets up, and they do the Steiner Bulldog because I love when they do it. They do the Steiner Bulldog off Corny, hitting the tennis racket. It's 1, it's 2, and Matt at the very last second breaks up the count. So
oh my God.
The Steiner Bulldog, not enough. And Matt now trying to get advantage. He starts getting advantage, starts beating Dax, beating Cash. They're both reeling a little bit. Jeff has now crawled to his own corner. Matt gets out of the ring, tags Jeff on the hand to get himself in the ring. Matt is now the legal man. Matt starts getting on the House of Fire. He throws Dax out of the ring. Cash is still the legal man as Matt gets a side effect, gets up, gets ready, does that weird thing with his hands, like where his arms are spread out and he puts his hands and he touches his middle fingers into his palm a whole lot. It's, he's doing that. He's getting ready for that. He's leaning up towards the back. Now, this is where the fun begins. Because now Cornette has dropped in the neutral corner the tennis racket. Because Cornette is run up and is Matt, who is doing this whole handstand thing as he's standing up and doing this hand thing. He has leaned closer and closer to the ropes, close enough to where Cornette can grab Matt Hardy's leg. And he's got the leg, and Matt Hardy's trying to wrench himself free, and the referee now sees this. And the referee, as the referee's coming towards Matt and Cornette, referee's going down to scold Cornette as Matt's starting to break free. Now, all the while this is happening, Dax on the outside has gotten up, sees the tennis racket, grabs it from the neutral corner, gets up the steps, tosses it to Cash. As Matt gets his leg free, the referee distracted with Cornette, Matt turns around, boom, tennis racket in the head. Matt staggers, the racket gets thrown out. Goodnight Express, 1, 2, 3. God damn it, FTR did it again.
They did it again.
As
those dirty FTRs, and Jim Cornette, he knows what he's doing.
This was one of those moments where it was I needed to keep it as sleight of hand as possible, and getting that racket out of Cornette's hands was the toughest part of that finish. Of how do I make it so that Dax can get it? Because otherwise, I couldn't have Cornette throw it because the referee would see it, but I needed it somewhere that it would be enough to get the referee distracted and the people pissed off that the Hardys were screwed once again.
Yes, but I think you did well enough, and I like that finish because it's a great heel finish.
Thank you. Thank you. It's enough for people to be so pissed that the tag titles stay in hands. The Hardys, they've got to be so dejected. But again, this could be, if we were doing long game, 2-3 months from now, there's a third match that they could have. You could keep this feud going because the heat's still on FTR. And it's not like the Hardys ever lost to FTR in a straight-up clean, you lose, I win way.
Right, and there are ways to escalate the feud to higher levels that would draw more money.
Well, it's going to be now we need to get, just toying or just spitballing here. Well, Cornette seems to always get involved, so we need to get something to where no one can get in and no one can get out. It seems like this would be the perfect time to throw a cage match into the mix.
It would. But let's just think about it right now. Jim Cornette and 2 of his clients retain their championship, and he's got another shot for the world title with his other client.
That's coming up. That is coming up. But it's sad to look at it this way. And now I do admit, as before we continue, I'll say it at the end. I'll say it at the very end, because we got 2 more matches left, and we're gonna get through them real quick.
Right. We have a co-main event that I'm honestly looking forward to, because this is probably the match I'm looking forward to the most.
This match was built with so much intrigue from the very beginning. What it started out as far as Cody and MJF getting world championship opportunities, neither being successful, bringing the Rhodes name into it, having a match where the body gave out on one individual, where you tried but the body gave out, to the new accusations from MJF on Cody's character, to Cody's arrogance starting to really display itself, and MJF starting to revert from being such a dirty bastard all the time, and Cody starting to tease his arrogance and his selfishness, the thing that MJF has called out for the past 3 or 4 weeks, just to display what Cody truly is. Now it comes down to this. After a vicious street fight, it is now Cody, MJF, last man standing.
And are you going to sue me because I took the finish from Charlotte and Toni Storm?
Oh no. You couldn't possibly have taken this finish. If you had taken this finish, I would have flown all the way out to the Bay Area and kicked your ass. There's no way you would have conceivably come up with this finish.
Oh, okay, we'll see.
Not only because your story didn't match the context. So here's how it goes. Now here's some key notes of this match. Cody drop toe holds MJF into the post as MJF tries to get to Cody. And this is like midway through the match. I debated how long this match was going to go. I'm going to also make it go 25 minutes. Maybe
these two deserve it.
Maybe, well, keep in mind they went 40 back in Harvest Havoc. So I actually cut them down a little bit.
Well, it's Cody Rhodes.
But
if you're going to give him as much time as he wants.
But they were going to, so they brawled out. He's going to work as much time as I give him. Let's make no debate about it. There's no being pushed around.
Oh, you're in charge, not Dusty's son.
That's right. I'm in charge. Look at me. I'm the captain. So during the match, as MJF goes to get Cody, because MJF wants Cody drop toe holds MJF into the ring post. When he does that, MJF is bells rung. He goes over to the other ring, other corner where the ring steps are, and he kind of he puts his head down because he just got his bell rung, which one would think that's where he's going to get juiced, but oh no, not yet, because Cody gets up on the ring apron, runs up and curb stomps MJF's head into the steel steps.
Oh, that sounds rough.
Then he gets juice. which I think it works better that way. So then, after this moment, the tone of this match changes. MJF is in this a lot less. Cody is just ferocious, beating him down, punches, kicks, rakes to the eyes, elbows, forearms, you name it, he's doing it. He's just beating MJF down. But every time that a big move happens and the referee goes to count, Cody backs the referee off. And he keeps saying, "I'm not done." And keeps going on MJF. The referee does not make a count until the very finish of this match. In the entire 25 minutes that this goes on.
So then Cody's not necessarily trying to win, is he?
So
he's just looking to hurt MJF.
Cody is continuing to beat the piss out of MJF. MJF, the heel going into this, theoretically, and Cody Rhodes, the babyface going into this, theoretically. And so then Cody is just beating him down and beating him down and beating him down. And Cody keeps going, I'm not done. And then finally, Cody Rhodes is like slapping him. He's just slapping MJF in his bloody face. And finally, MJF just socks him one. Does Cody. And then MJF starts to get a flurry. He starts to get going. Cody Rhodes starts to shut him down, but MJF now is fighting back and now punches. And now it's just a brawl, not a hockey fight. I hate the look of a hockey fight. but just absolutely taking over Cody. And to the point where in the middle of the ring, MJF punches Cody so hard, Cody gets busted open hard way.
Ooh. Sounds rough. And now we got blood on both guys.
And I did this deliberately. Before I continue, I did this deliberately because I had no other means of getting juice on Cody without resorting to a gimmick. But I think hard way actually works better in this situation. And I will explain.
It has to. It has to.
Yes. So he gets juiced the hard way because MJF is just so pissed at Cody. So MJF, now here's the way I view this is I kind of get this iconic moments in my head, and I view one of these iconic moments as Cody's busted open and MJF's busted open, and there's blood pouring down his face. MJF gets Cody set up for the crossroads, and you could see just the camera straight on MJF, the blood pouring down his face, him like screaming practically that it's gonna happen. Well, just as this is happening, Cody flips it up, turns around, and as MJF is coming up, wham, hoofed in the balls.
Oh.
Down goes MJF, and Cody immediately takes his head, turns him back, crossroads. Before the referee starts to count, Cody, you can hear Cody say to MJF, without a microphone, although we'd probably need a microphone, truthfully. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to have Cody take a microphone from the microphone, the ring announcer. I like that. Cody's aggressive. He took the microphone from, I guess that would be JR, wouldn't it?
Oh, JR just has to give the microphone to Cody.
No, he doesn't give it. Cody takes it. Cody forcibly takes it and takes it into the ring and goes, Max, I didn't want to do this to you, but you chose to face Rhodes royalty. You chose to disrespect, to be an insubordinate of Rhodes royalty. I brought Maxwell Jacob Friedman into the professional wrestling world, and now you have forced my hand. So do yourself the favor, if you have the balls to get up, admit you were wrong, and kiss the hand of Rhodes royalty. Count. Hands the mic to the referee. And now the hand is down. The hand's just down right in front of MJF. And the referee counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. At 8, MJF now gets up. He is not up on his feet. He's on his knees. Just looking up, face bloody. Cody's face is bloody. Cody's hand is still down. MJF looks up, and as the referee's going to count 9, Cody holds up his hand and goes, wait. And he looks down at MJF, and MJF looks at Cody, and this is an iconic moment for 2 reasons. 1, because they're both bloody, and I can just imagine this being replayed on every archive footage ever conceived for these two and this type of match. Just the type of the pain, of anguish, of hatred these two would have for each other. And number 2, because we got this exact image practically at Harvest Havoc with the roles reversed. We had the same on the knees with Cody bloody and MJF bloody, but the roles reversed. Cody tells MJF to kiss the hand, and you're going to recognize this. MJF looks up, flips the bird, spits in Cody's face. Cody takes that. Cody obviously wipes the spit off his head, punches him, takes him down. Cody hits MJF with the heat seeker, which in my realm is just a pile driver, not the draping rope, but just a pile driver. The heat seeker pile driver. That's the end of the match. The count of 10. Cody has won with MJF's finish the same way that MJF beat Cody with his finish, in the same manner of the body giving out.
That was beautiful, my man.
Oh, it's not done.
I wouldn't expect it to be.
Because after this match, Cody just beats the tar out of MJF, continues to kick and stomp MJF. And now the fans are starting to throw trash at Cody Rhodes for beating MJF after MJF has shown his resolve, has shown in the entire time he never cheated, he never used a gimmick, nothing. He never used a low blow, he never raked the eyes, he did nothing dirty. MJF has completely turned himself around, and Cody has now lost himself in his rage and is beating him down and kicking him and stomping and just punching the wounds to the point where referees are now pulling Cody off, and Cody turns around and nearly punches a referee. And everyone looks back, and Cody takes a second and he looks around and he looks down at MJF and he looks at his bloody hand, and he just rolls out of the ring and he just stoically, with no emotion, walks into the back. Doesn't look at a fan, doesn't look at anything, just stoically walks to the back like he almost realizes, oh, look what I just did. And MJF needs serious medical attention. So they actually look in on him. He's bloody. He's beaten. A pile driver was bloody, a bloody pile driver. And you know how I said you keep stealing my finishes?
Yeah.
Stretcher job for MJF. He was beaten up so badly, but the final act of defiance was spitting in the face of the selfish man who among all else, believes that he is royalty. And MJF proved himself to be correct, but at what cost?
But still, you executed a great double turn.
Thank you. I will admit, I will take inspiration from two places mostly. One was Bret Hart and Steve Austin. Mostly for the blood, but also for the aftermath, because that was a big part of what helped Bret definitively turn heel, was post-match kicking Steve Austin and then getting into it with Ken Shamrock and with the referees,
and also making Austin a babyface.
Yeah. And the other thing I told that from was actually, AEW, you do have your moments, even though they're completely tone deaf and it wasn't what you were going for. I took the spit in the face and the flipping off from MJF and Moxley, because I thought that was so good as a double turn execution that I might as well use it for the reason that it actually would be good.
Right. Plus, it's also a good. It's also shades of their actual feud in AEW.
Yes. So I tried to bring this all together as much as I can. This feud between Cody and MJF, I think, is my crowning achievement of the entire 7 weeks or 7 months that I put this together. I'm really proud of how all of that came together.
I am too. But we are not done, are we?
We are not. And real quick, my only regret of this whole thing is that I used some pre-existing information to make their feud what it was, as far as the upbringing and things like that. But I feel like that could have been well adequately explained by announcers and video packages, so I'm not as worried about that.
I mean, if we were really going to do step by step, but then I don't want to do 4-hour podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. But
this is already going to be 2 hours as it is.
2 and change.
And we have one match to go.
2 and change, but we've got one last match. It is for the ACPW Heavyweight Championship. And boy, you want to talk about a lot at stake. And this, I'm so excited, because I've gotten everyone on my roster. Every single person on my roster has made this show in one form or another, except Ricochet, get better. It is Brian Cage, the champion, versus Jeff Cobb with Jim Cornette as the challenger. Jeff Cobb has beaten absolutely everyone he's faced in convincing fashion, dominant fashion. And this match will start with the open. Jim Cornette gets on the apron after announcing Jeff Cobb and starts talking smack to Cage. Cage turns his head slightly, and that slight turn of the head is enough for Cobb to get the jump. Brian Cage does not get an offensive move in for a good 8 minutes. Jeff Cobb.
It's all Cobb.
It is all Cobb all the time, just like pretty much every other match that he's been in. Now, if you recall, Jeff Cobb has not been knocked off his feet at all.
Nope.
If he got knocked over the top, or if he got knocked through the ropes, he landed either on his feet, or he would end up standing, or just kind of end up on his feet on the outside. He's not fallen to a knee, no nothing. He has been a brick house. And the match goes 8 minutes with Cobb, and now Cobb's getting ready to end it. Jim Cornette's looking grander than ever. It looks like we're going to get a new champion. Cobb goes to hit Cage with the deadlift power slam, but as he gets for the first swing, Brian Cage elbows Jeff Cobb. And he elbows him again. And he elbows him again. And Jeff Cobb starts to stagger a little bit. And as the push off, and Jeff Cobb, as Brian Cage pushes Jeff Cobb off, Jeff Cobb, who's a little dazed from the elbow, goes to get Brian Cage. Brian Cage turns around, hits the discus clothesline, and both men go down. Jeff Cobb has been knocked off his feet for the first time ever in ACPW.
Speaks to the power and the resilience of Brian Cage, your world champion.
But here's the interesting thing. That's his finish. He hit Jeff Cobb. Cobb got knocked down, but Brian Cage has taken so much punishment, Brian Cage can't get up either. So they both have to answer the count of 10. Can you imagine, Sky, the pop that Cobb getting knocked off his feet and both men down for a count of 10 would get in Atlanta, Georgia?
They would be off their feet. They would be rumbling in the Georgia Dome or something. Talking about inspirations, save for the no selling of the Tombstone Piledriver, I took that moment from when Hulk Hogan took Undertaker off his feet for the first time, and that got a massive pop. So how do you continue it, my man?
Well, now that he's taken the first bump, now it's a lot easier. So much easier to book Jeff Cobb after this. But anyway, so they have both answered the count of 10. Brian Cage makes the comeback. Now, here comes the finish. Brian Cage looks ready. He's aiming for another discus clothesline, which of course Cornette cannot have. Cornette on the apron. So Cornette gets on the apron. Brian Cage goes to hit Cornette, and of course the referee going over to Cornette. Well, as Cage runs over to hit Cornette, Cornette drops down. As he's dropped down, he's pulled the referee just enough so that Brian Cage collides with the referee, and we got a ref bump.
Uh-oh.
Then Jeff Cobb goes to attack Brian Cage, but it's foiled, and Brian Cage hits another discus clothesline. But there's no referee. So the crowd, they start counting, but there's no ref. He goes for the cover. Brian Cage had the match won. But instead, in comes FTR. Because if you recall at the contract signing last week, Jim Cornette said the cult of Cornette knows no bounds and is not afraid to get done what needs to get done. So in comes FTR, the tag champs, with their belts, which they took off on the ramp, which is just important for like a quick moment. But anyway, they have their belt. They come in, they start beating down on Brian Cage, and FTR, they're coming down, but Brian Cage is a big guy, and it takes a little bit more than just FTR, and Brian Cage starts beating back FTR, throws Dax over the top, throws Cash over the top. Jeff Cobb is still down, and as Brian Cage throws Dax over the top from behind, Jim Cornette hits Brian Cage in the back with the racket. But Brian Cage no-sells this, as he should, because Cornette is not in any physical league of physicality like Brian Cage. So he hits him with the tennis racket
I
on the
can
back.
imagine Jim Cornette's face, and he's pleading with Brian Cage.
That's
Please
right.
Don't do it. Please
Brian
don't do
Cage,
it.
Brian Cage gets hits in the back. He kind of like stiffens up and then slowly turns around to see Cornette, and Cornette's like, uh-oh. And Cornette goes to run away, and Cage has got him by the scruff of his suit, and Cage is about to get him down, and he, Sky, you're not gonna see this coming.
No, I'm not, are I?
As he's shaking Jim Cornette by the scruff like he's about to hit him, from outside in the crowd, you didn't remember that I even had him on the roster. From out of nowhere comes an RKO. That's right.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton hits an RKO. Cornette rolls out of the ring with his tail between his legs. Orton is that. Cobb has now gotten back up. The fans are pissed. The fans are pissed. It can't end like this. All of a sudden, Cobb gets Cage up. Deadlift power slam. The referee is just coming to the cover. 1, 2, not this way, not this way. 3. Your new ACPW heavyweight champion, thanks to the numbers game alone, Jeff Cobb. And now the Cult of Cornette has all the belts. Brian Cage.
Not only do they have all the belts, but one Randy Orton has made his presence known.
And Brian Cage laying in the middle of the ring, sprawled out, as the heels, by the way, get out of dodge. They don't stay. They don't stay in pose. They don't stay in cheer. No. The way that Atlanta's going, they're going to be lucky if they avoid the riot. Because not only was MJF screwed, not only were the Hardys screwed, but now Brian Cage as well. These last 3 matches have got people hot. And they're not going to take it anymore. After all of this cheating, there's a riot that's going to break out. These heels get out of dodge. The babyface Brian Cage, as the fans are getting real hot and they're starting to get real bothered, Brian Cage laying practically unconscious in the middle of the ring is how the show fades to black.
That was a good show, my man.
A new era has begun, and I know what you're thinking out there. I know you're thinking, how could you two in good conscience possibly stop Atlantic Coast Pro Wrestling and NWL on cliffhangers like that? How dare you stop this program? How dare you concede to the ever-willing inevitability of finality? And to that we say, it's a good thing we're not, because ladies and gentlemen, we're announcing it right here, right now. We're not stopping after all.
We will be going on, and we will continue in 2021.
That's right. 2021 has a great part of NWL versus ACPW. However, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently in Season 2, but we're going to save that for when it comes. All in all,
agreed.
Your final thoughts, Sky, as we wrap up 2020's NWL versus ACPW. I think, sir, you and I should have jobs in professional wrestling that don't just involve a podcast. Because that's some pretty A-grade work.
We should, or at least we should have more subscribers. And you want to know how we get more subscribers?
Why don't you tell them?
Like you.
That's right.
Sharing and liking and showing it to your friends, and hit that bell every time we go live.
That's right. And it happens many times. We see ourselves on Tuesday. We see on Friday. Sometimes we even have different days. It's all relative, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a great time. Skyler, thanks so much for hopping on this whole fantasy league. This has been an absolute blast to do over the last 7 months.
I thank you for having me. And I will see you next time when we do TLC review, and I will get cracking on 2021 NWL stuff.
That's right, and it's going to be on Christmas. We're dropping on Christmas, so we will see you on December 25th, ladies and gentlemen, for a TLC review. Going to be a blasty blast. Happy belated birthday, Sky. It is time to take our first commercial break. When we get back, TLC Christmas. It's all going down. Court Martial Podcast. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you after this.